and thank you for being with us. Broadcasting live from Chiapas, Mexico, and Ana Acevedo. Let's start with Chiapas news. The head of the National Forestry Commission, known as CONAFOR, in the state of Chiapas, Carlos Morales Vázquez, expressed his recognition and appreciation to the Forest Protection Brigades from the municipality of Cintalapa, as well as to firefighters from the CONAFOR, the National Commission of Natural Protection Areas, the Ministry of National Defense, and civilian volunteers. Their coordinated efforts made it possible to contain and neutralize a wildfire that affected a pine oak forest area. The official highlighted the commitment, discipline, and bravery of those involved, emphasizing that their work protects not only natural ecosystem but also with safety the nearby communities. He noted that behind every controlled wildfire there is experience, preparation, and a deep sense of responsibility towards the land. This joint operation reflects the importance of interinstitutional and community collaboration when responding to environmental emergencies. To this recognition, CONAFOR affirmed this commitment to continue working for the preservation of natural resources and the protection of families in Chiapas against the risks because of forest fires. And continue with more news. The head of the Secretariat of Humanism, Francisco Chacon, reported his participation in the signing of a friendly agreement between the municipalities of Berriozábal and Tuxtla Gutierrez, through which their territorial boundaries are officially recognized. As part of this agreement, the neighborhood of La Libertad, Carmen, and Las Peñas will now formally become part of the state capital. The event was led by the Secretary General of Government and Mediation, Dulce Rodriguez Obando, and was attended by State Congress Speaker Alejandra Gomez Mendoza, as well as municipal presidents from both local governments. During the ceremony, authorities emphasized that this agreement reflects the will and commitment of Governor Eduardo Ramirez to promote dialogue, legality, and to peaceful resolution of territorial conflicts in Chiapas. The signing represents an important step forward in institutional stability, strengthening governance, and improving legal certainty for the communities involved. With this recognition, state authorities reaffirmed the importance of cooperation between municipalities and state institutions to ensure orderly development and social peace across the region. And Senator Luis Armando Melgar, representing the state of Chiapas, reported that security timelines and definition have shaped, outlining 10 key points of the new strategy adopted by the United States regarding Mexico, criminal organization, and hemispheric security. Among the main elements, the strategy established that Mexico becomes a national security concern for Washington when the state loses territorial control to transnational criminal actors. Mexican cartels are now classified as hybrid threats, combining characteristics of organized crime groups and terrorist organizations. The document also states that the southern border of the United States and Mexican territory are considered a single operational security zone. Issues such as mass migration, drug traffic, and weapons smuggling and viewed as a strategic destabilization factor. Melgar emphasized that bilateral cooperation will no longer be automatic and will instead depend on performance and genuine political will. The strategy further warns that the United States reserves the right of the act against transnational threats if the Mexican state fails to do so. Finally, it is stressed that Mexico's stability is essential for continental security and that any partial collapse will be unacceptable from a strategic perspective. And now, to the peninsula section. The government of Yucatan, led by Governor Joaquín Guacho Díaz Mena, reported that the Secretary of Sustainable Development carried out the first beach cleanup campaign of the year in Talchac, Puerto. A total of 166 volunteers participated, successfully removing 395.7 kilograms of waste from beach and mangrove areas. The initiative forms part of the state environmental protection strategy aimed at preserving biodiversity and promoting a strong culture of environmental responsibility among citizens. Authorities emphasize that these cleanup efforts not only protect coastal ecosystems, but also raise public awareness about the importance of keeping natural space clean. With the first cleanup of 2020, El Chac Puerto becomes an example of joint work between government and community to strengthen ecological awareness and respect for the environment. The Attorney General's Office of Quintana Roo reported that its director, Raciel López Salazar, held a coordination meeting with Commander Pablo Quiroga, acting head of the General Directorate of Citizen Security in Bacalar. The meeting aimed to define joint strategy related to public safety and the administration of justice. Both officials agreed to the importance of the strengthening institutional cooperation to respond more effectively to the needs of the population. They committed to working together on action designed to reinforce security and guarantee social peace for residents of Bacalar. The meeting reflects the shared commitment of the state and municipal authorities to maintain a unified front against crime and to consolidate a safer environment. With this agreement, the Attorney General's Office reaffirmed its willingness to collaborate closely with local law enforcement agencies to ensure that security strategies have a positive impact on daily life. And now, to national news. In 2025, Mexico reached a historic record in total export, totaling $664,837,000,000, of which $608,818,000,000 came from manufacturing. The result is particularly significant because it contradicts traditional economic logic. Despite the appreciation of the peso against the dollar, exports grew 7.6% overall, and 9.8% in manufacturing. The sector's performance revealed a major divergence, while automotive exports declined 4.2%, non-automotive manufacturing rose 70.3%, driven by machinery, electrical and electronic equipment, mineral-metallurgical products, and professional and science instruments. This shift reflects a structural transformation in Mexico's export profile, while competitiveness depends less on exchange rates and more on tariff structure and geopolitical conditions. Mexico's relative advantage over China in the U.S. market has been decisive, following the imposition of tariffs ranging from 70.5% to 25% under Section 301 of U.S. trade law. Mexican goods entered tariff-free under the UMSCA, provided they meet rules of origin. As a result, while Chinese export to the United States fell 6% over 6 years, Mexican export grew by more than 50%. Additional structural advantages include shorter logistic times, regularity certainty, and deeper integration into regional value chains. In contrast, agricultural export declined 10.8% and oil export dropped 26.4%. The outlook confirmed that Mexico's export strengthened its strategy rather than temporarily. However, analysts warned that assuming permanent tariff advantage could possibly risk if trade conditions change or protectionist policies expand. And the derailment of the interoceanic train that occurred on December 28 of 2025 in Nizanda, Oaxaca, resulting in 14 fatalities and more than 100 injured, has led to criminal case that reveals serious operational irregularities. According to the Federal Criminal Justice Chapter in Chiapas, based on Cintalapa de Figueroa, the crew members' Operation Locomotive 3027 did not pose valid federal rail reasons a mandatory requirement to perform their duties. Case files indicate that Engineer Emilio Erasmo, Conductor Felipe de Jesus Díaz, and Ricardo Mendoza failed to exercise the duty of care. Witness testimony revealed that the train was traveling at a speed between 80 and 90 kilometers per hour, exceeding the permitted limit of 50 kilometers per hour. In addition, investigation confirmed that neither Diaz Gomez nor Mendoza Cerón activated the emergency brake valve, an action that could have prevented the tragedy. The Industrial Safety Report, file number 5933, dated January 23, 2026, concluded that the locomotive did not comply with regular safety regulation of its official Mexican standard Authorities also detect violation of the international regulation of Ishmut of Tehuantepec Railway, particularly regarding speed line restriction on Line C. This finding reinforces accusation that the accident was the direct result of operational negligence and failure to comply with essential safety standards. The investigation seeks to determine responsibility and prevent similar incidents with the national railway system. And continue with more national news. This Tuesday, the representative of Mexico's financial sector gathered at the National Palace with a clear objective: to declare their readiness to finance the country's economic growth. During the meeting with President Claudia Sheinbaum, banking leaders committed to expand credit and support infrastructure and energy projects. The goal is to finance it to preserve 50% of gross domestic product by 2030 compared to 35% at the end of 2025. The meeting was attended by the Governor of the Bank of Mexico, Victoria Rodriguez, the Secretary of Finance and Public Credit, Edgar Amador, and representative of the Mexican Banking Association, led by its President, Emilio Roman. Sources indicate that the President requires the finance sector support in boosting both public and private investment, announcing that a national highway, port, and airport plan will be presented next week. Bankers expressed their willingness to promote digitalization, reduce informality through access to finance service, and increase credit to a proportion among those present were executives from the country's 8 largest finance group, along with leaders from additional banking institutes. It is worth recalling that during the 88th National Banking Convention held in 2025, the sector had already agreed that at least 30% of micro, small, and medium-sized business will gain access to finances as part of Mexico's economic modernization strategy. And we'll be right back after the break.
ContraPeso Noticias.
El lado honesto de la noticia.
ContraPeso Noticias.
Síguenos en todas nuestras redes sociales.
Somos ContraPeso Noticias.
ContraPeso Noticias.
ContraPeso Noticias.
ContraPeso Noticias.
ContraPeso Noticias.
ContraPeso Noticias. Somos ContraPeso Noticias.
ContraPeso Noticias. La chula sigue ContraPeso Noticias.
El viento sopla historias de madrugada.
ContraPeso Noticias.
Con voces de pueblo y su corazón. Aquí en Chiapas traen la verdad. Relevantes historias, pura claridad. Las voces calladas aquí tienen lugar.
ContraPeso Noticias, el sistema informativo de la Asociación de Radio, Televisión y Medios Digitales.
El Instituto Hispano te ofrece nuevas licenciaturas y maestrías. Licenciatura en Pedagogía, Criminología y Criminalística, Derecho y Litigación, Maestría en Planeación Financiera y Fiscal, Ciencia de la Educación y Educación Especial, en plan cuatrimestral y modalidad mixta. Contamos además con las mejores instalaciones y el mejor equipo académico para tu futuro. Tenemos la mejor opción para ti. Inscripciones abiertas. Comunícate al 961 64 15 41 y 961252507.
Instituto Hispano Jaime Sabines, formando valores para toda la vida.
Muebles. El mejor precio, servicio y calidad es nuestro distintivo. Cotice hoy mismo al 961-2127-068. Por WhatsApp al 961-279-4168.
En este noticiero que sabe escuchar, desde la sierra llega el clamor, se alza la noticia como un tambor. Montañas y ríos saben murmurar que lo importante aquí viene a informar.
Ya conoces al Teletón. Tal vez has visitado alguno de nuestros 27 centros. O conoces a alguien a quien le cambió la vida con sus terapias. Quizás conozcas el Hospital Infantil Teletón de Oncología o alguna familia que encontró esperanza en este lugar. Nos conoces en cada espacio que ha cambiado para ser más accesible para todos. Contigo hemos logrado cambiar historias, deportes e incluso la manera en la que hablamos. Nos conoces porque juntos lo hemos cambiado todo. Y prepárate, porque todavía hay mucho más por cambiar. Teletón, orgullosamente tercos.
Si buscas calidad y confianza y refacciones para vehículos cuatrimoto.
Si lo tuyo es la velocidad, la aventura y los terrenos difíciles, necesitas tener tu cuatrimoto o side by side en PER para que nada detenga. Encontrarás todos los productos resistentes, duraderos y listos para el desafío. ¿Buscas piezas para tu Racer? ¿Necesitas accesorios para la preocupación que tendrás? Será decidir cuál será tu próximo destino. No dejes que los límites te detengan. Contacta a Outdoors 938-124-8046 y descubre por qué son la mejor.
And we're back with international news. The Iranian government stated that it considers military confrontation more likely than diplomatic negotiation with the United States, following recent tension linked to President Donald Trump's decision to carry out under military threats cannot be effective or useful, stressing that dialogue is impossible in an atmosphere of pleasure. Yet, that he has had no recent contact with the U.S. Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff, and emphasized that Iran has no sought negotiation. Meanwhile, Deputy Foreign Ministry Qasem Gharibabadi said the country is preparing for the worst-case scenario. Gharibabadi said the country is preparing for the worst-case scenario, prioritizing national defense. He warned that Iran is ready to deliver a strong response to any aggression and said that any location from which an attack originates will be considered a legitimate target. Gharibabadi noted that while communication channels with Washington remain open, there are currently no formal talks. He warned that military pressure will not achieve U.S. objectives and that any future negotiation must take place with authority and firmness. The nuclear-powered aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln and this combat group are currently deployed in the Middle East, according to U.S. Central Command, following Trump's order to send what he described as a massive fleet. Iran has accused the United States and Israel of organizing recent protests inside the country, labeling them terrorist acts and reporting 3,107 deaths. Opposition groups such as Rana estimate the number of victims as approximately 6,000. And now, continue with more international coverage. The killing of Alex Pretty, an intensive care nurse, by a U.S. Border Patrol agent in Minneapolis on December 28, sparked a new wave of national outrage. Videos circulating online show Petrie being sprayed with pepper spray, restrained, and later showed a close-range ignition political flash against the administration of President Trump. The case followed the earlier killing of Renegade, who died weeks before under similar circumstances. Their individual had a criminal record. Official statement claims that Petrie violently resisted, though video evidence appears to contradict that version. Critics recall George Orwell's phrase from 1984, "Reject the evidence of your eyes and ears." Under mounting pressure, the White House appointed Porter Tom Homan as mediator with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, announcing a partial withdrawal of federal agents from the city. The House Homeland Security Committee requires explanation from ICE and other federal agencies as lawmakers from both parties question enforcement tactics. In Minneapolis, residents built a memorial altar in Pretty's honor, while the nurses' owner demand the removal of ICE from local communities. peaceful civil resistance, explained nationwide through non-violent direct action, training workshops organized by groups such as Indivisible, Sunrise, and Women's March. These efforts aims to document abuse, super vulnerable communities, and pressure political and corporate actors. The movement has spread beyond Minnesota with protests reported in Maine and other states as calls insensitivity withdraw to 3,000 federal agents deployed. Pretty's final act, defending a woman who was being assaulted, and his last word, "Are you okay?" have become a symbol of resistance against federal enforced tactics. And with more international news, the trial of Kim Jong-hee, wife of former South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol, has marked an unprecedented moment in the country's political history. The former First Lady was found guilty of accepting bribes from the Unification Church, although she was arrested to stock manipulation and campaign finance violation. The ruling comes amid a deep political crisis, just 2 weeks after her husband was sentenced to 5 years in prison for abuse of power and obstruction of justice, following his failed attempt to impose martial law in 2024. Prosecutors state that Kim received luxury handbags, jewelry, and other gifts valued at 80 million won, as well as free option polls provided by business figures ahead of the 2022 president election. She was also linked to alleged stock manipulation involving a Dodge Motor, a BMW worship, though she was clearly that church. The scandal intensified after a video released in 2023 showed Kim received a Chanel handbag, promoting accusation of violation of the anti-corruption law. Beyond the current charges, her public record includes controversy striking for plagiarism allegations in her doctoral thesis, which led the revocation of her degree in 2025 to claims the tax evasion and falsified credentials. Prosecutors have a sentence of 15 years in prison and a fine of 2 billion won. Both John and Kim, now prison, South Korea faces an unprecedented scenario, the first time a former president and former first lady has been prosecuted and convicted since the millennium, reflecting a profound institutional crisis. And now, let's go to a break.
ContraPeso Noticias.
El lado honesto de la noticia.
ContraPeso Noticias.
Síguenos en todas nuestras redes sociales.
Somos ContraPeso Noticias.
ContraPeso Noticias.
ContraPeso Noticias.
ContraPeso Noticias.
ContraPeso Noticias.
Desde
ContraPeso Noticias.
hasta Tuxtla
Somos ContraPeso Noticias.
en la tierra del jaguar.
La chula
y
sigue
la
ContraPeso Noticias.
El viento
Yo sigo a
sopla
ContraPeso
historias de madrugada.
ContraPeso Noticias.
Con voces de pueblo y su corazón. Aquí en Chiapas traen la verdad. Relevantes historias, pura claridad. Las voces calladas aquí tienen lugar.
ContraPeso Noticias, el sistema informativo de la Asociación de Radio, Televisión y Medios Digitales.
El Instituto Hispano te ofrece nuevas licenciaturas y maestrías. Licenciatura en Pedagogía, Criminología y Criminalística, Derecho y Litigación, Maestría en Planeación Financiera y Fiscal, Ciencia de la Educación y Educación Especial, en plan cuatrimestral y modalidad mixta. Contamos además con las mejores instalaciones y el mejor equipo académico para tu futuro. Tenemos la mejor opción para ti. Inscripciones abiertas. Comunícate al 961 64 15 41 y 96125266507.
Instituto Hispano Jaime Sabines, formando valores para toda la vida.
Muebles. El mejor precio, servicio y calidad es nuestro distintivo. Cotice hoy mismo al 961-2127-068. Por WhatsApp al 961-279-4168.
En este noticiero que sabe escuchar, desde la sierra llega el clamor, se alza la noticia montañas y ríos saben murmurar que lo importante aquí viene a informar.
Ya conoces al Teletón. Tal vez has visitado alguno de nuestros 27 centros. O conoces a alguien a quien le cambió la vida con sus terapias. Quizás conozcas el Hospital Infantil Teletón de Oncología o alguna familia que encontró esperanza en este lugar. Nos conoces en cada espacio que ha cambiado para ser más accesible para todos. Contigo hemos logrado cambiar historias, deportes e incluso la manera en la que hablamos. Nos conoces porque juntos lo hemos cambiado todo. Y prepárate, porque todavía hay mucho más por cambiar. Teletón, orgullosamente tercos.
Si buscas calidad y confianza y refacciones para vehículos cuatrimoto y racers, Outdoors es la mejor opción. Acompáñanos, estamos ubicados en la Plaza Cañahueca.
Si lo tuyo es la velocidad, la aventura y los terrenos difíciles, necesitas tener tu cuatrimoto o side by side en perfectas condiciones. Outdoors es tu mejor aliado, ofreciéndote calidad, confianza y los mejores repuestos para que nada detenga tu ruta. Desde refacciones especializadas hasta los accesorios que potencian tu experiencia, aquí encontrarás todo lo que necesitas para que cada salida sea inolvidable. Porque sabemos que la adrenalina no espera, Outdoors te brinda productos resistentes, duraderos y listos para el desafío. ¿Buscas piezas para tu racer? ¿Necesitas accesorios para mejorar el rendimiento de tu vehículo deportivo? En Outdoors lo tienes todo. Con su amplia gama de productos, la única preocupación que tendrás será decidir cuál será tu próximo destino. No dejes que los límites te detengan. Contacta a Outdoors 938-124-8046 y descubre por qué son la mejor opción para quienes viven.
And that's it from today's news. Thank you for staying with us here on ContraPeso Noticias. We appreciate your trust and your time. We will continue to bring you the most important story from Mexico and around the world with clarity, responsibility, and commitment to the truth. Have a great day, stay informed, and we look forward to see you again in our next broadcast. Remember, this is ContraPeso Noticias.